When Andy Jassy officially took the reins as Amazon CEO in July 2021, many people outside of the tech industry knew little about him. He wasn't a flamboyant showman like Elon Musk or a media darling like Tim Cook. He wasn't a founder, nor did he seek the spotlight. But for insiders at Amazon and close observers of the tech world, Jassy's appointment wasn't surprising. He was the architect behind Amazon Web Services, AWS, the division that not only transformed Amazon's bottom line but revolutionized the entire internet economy. Born in 1968 and raised in Scarsdale, New York, Jassy was the son of a senior partner at the corporate law firm Dewey Ballantine. He earned his undergraduate degree from Harvard and later returned for an MBA. He joined Amazon in 1997, just 3 years after its founding, initially as a marketing manager. Over the decades, he climbed the ranks quietly but effectively, known for his discipline, intensity, and sharp analytical mind. Jassy's most significant contribution came in the early 2000s when he helped conceive and launch AWS. In an age when businesses struggled with server management and scalability, AWS introduced cloud computing as a service. It was a gamble that paid off massively. Today, AWS powers companies ranging from Netflix to NASA and accounts for the lion's share of Amazon's profits. So when Jeff Bezos announced he would be stepping down as CEO, he named Jassy as his successor. It was a choice rooted in trust and vision. Bezos had long admired Jassy's leadership style, detail-oriented, principled, and innovative. But while the passing of the torch was orderly, the challenges ahead were anything but. Jassy stepped into the role during a tumultuous time. Amazon was facing regulatory pressure, labor disputes, growing competition, and internal cultural shifts. More importantly, a new technological frontier was emerging: artificial intelligence. As the global economy and society entered an AI renaissance, Jassy found himself at the helm of one of the world's most powerful companies, tasked with steering it into an uncertain but opportunity-rich future. This series explores how Andy Jassy, a low-profile executive with a high-impact track record, is shaping Amazon's next chapter. Through strategic pivots, internal overhauls, and bold bets on AI, Jassy is not just inheriting Bezos' legacy, he's rewriting it. In the next chapter, we'll dive into Jassy's early years at Amazon, examining how his experience in building AWS prepared him for the daunting task of leading one of the world's largest and most complex companies. Before Andy Jassy was seen as a candidate for CEO, he was known internally at Amazon as the man who built AWS from scratch. His journey into the cloud wasn't born of a grand strategy, but of a series of questions that Amazon's internal developers kept asking. Why does it take so long to get servers up and running? Why do we have to keep reinventing the wheel every time we scale? The answer Jassy and his small team arrived at in the early 2000s would become one of the most lucrative ideas in tech history. In 2003, Amazon began experimenting with the idea of offering computing power and storage as services. At the time, most companies maintained their own servers, racks, cooling systems, and IT teams. It was costly, inefficient, and impossible to scale quickly. Jassy envisioned a utility-like service. Companies would pay only for the computing resources they used. Like electricity or water, cloud computing could be turned on and off as needed. By 2006, AWS officially launched with just 3 services: S3 for storage, EC2 for computing, and SQS for messaging. The initial response was tepid. Many questioned whether businesses would trust an e-commerce company with their most sensitive data. But Jassy remained steadfast. He evangelized the platform with relentless passion, making customer obsession a guiding principle. He met with CTOs and CIOs personally, listening to their frustrations, adapting AWS offerings accordingly, and iterating fast. Jassy also built a culture within AWS that emphasized long-term thinking. His team worked under the radar for years, often operating like a startup within a corporation. There were few press releases and little fanfare, but AWS began to catch on. Startups adopted it first. Dropbox, Airbnb, and Slack all scaled using AWS, and eventually, enterprise giants followed. By the mid-2010s, AWS had grown into a behemoth. It powered the digital economy, hosted sensitive government data, and became essential infrastructure for streaming, gaming, and even artificial intelligence training models. Jassy had quietly created the most profitable division in Amazon's portfolio, giving the company a durable competitive edge. Internally, this success gave Jassy credibility. He was not just a manager, he was a builder. His approach, customer-first, metrics-driven, frugal but innovative, resonated with Amazon's leadership principles. It also aligned with Bezos' ethos of long-term thinking. Yet as AWS scaled, it began facing challenges of its own. Google and Microsoft launched rival cloud platforms, eating into AWS' market share. Concerns about vendor lock-in, data sovereignty, and competition from clients like Oracle and IBM started to bubble. Moreover, the next technological disruption, AI, was looming. Jassy knew that the cloud wouldn't be the endgame. It was only the beginning. His work with AWS gave him a front-row seat to the needs of the next generation of developers, who were increasingly focused on machine learning, automation, and data. For Amazon to stay relevant, it needed to evolve beyond storage and computing into intelligence. In the following chapter, we'll examine how Jassy began laying the groundwork for Amazon's AI transformation, well before he took over the CEO mantle. Even before the term AI dominated headlines, Andy Jassy and his AWS team understood that machine learning and artificial intelligence would define the next wave of computing. AWS had already begun integrating AI capabilities into its cloud services well before it became fashionable. From personalized recommendations to automated fraud detection, Amazon was quietly embedding intelligence into its platforms, and Jassy had a clear view of its potential. By the late 2010s, AWS launched a suite of AI and machine learning tools aimed at developers and businesses. Services like Amazon SageMaker allowed data scientists to build, train, and deploy machine learning models at scale without the overhead of managing infrastructure. Lex, Recognition, and Poly introduced speech recognition, image analysis, and text-to-speech into the cloud ecosystem. These tools were early signals that Jassy's AWS wasn't just a platform for storage and compute. It was becoming a foundational layer for intelligent applications. Internally, Jassy pushed Amazon to become a customer of its own AI tools. He advocated for the use of machine learning in every department, from logistics and warehouse automation to Alexa's voice recognition and product search ranking. This AI-first mindset wasn't a mandate, it was a cultural shift. Jassy understood that intelligence wasn't a feature, it was a competitive necessity. But while AWS continued to lead technically, the broader public narrative around AI was being shaped by other players. Google made headlines with AlphaGo, Tesla promised self-driving cars, and OpenAI dazzled the world with increasingly powerful language models. Amazon, in contrast, was perceived as trailing in the AI race. Jassy took this perception seriously. He recognized that if Amazon didn't lead in AI, it would eventually follow. And Amazon, under his leadership, wasn't built to follow. In 2020, just before the CEO transition, Jassy began ramping up Amazon's investments in AI talent and research. New AI research labs were formed. Strategic acquisitions, such as Zoox in autonomous driving and Health Navigator in digital health, hinted at the company's ambitions to use AI in sectors beyond retail and cloud. Jassy's goal was clear: to make Amazon not just AI-capable but AI-native. He also recognized that the next frontier in AI wouldn't be controlled solely by cloud platforms. It would involve powerful partnerships, open-source communities, and ethical frameworks. Jassy began speaking more openly about responsible AI, data privacy, and fairness in algorithms. It marked a subtle but important shift in Amazon's tone, from an engineering powerhouse to a company aware of its growing influence on society. As Jassy prepared to ascend to the CEO role, he wasn't just inheriting Amazon's successes. He was inheriting its vulnerabilities, its public image, its regulatory scrutiny, and its fragmented AI identity. But in these challenges, he saw opportunity. In the next chapter, we'll follow Jassy's first strategic moves as CEO, how he began restructuring Amazon's priorities to place AI at the center of everything the company does, from Alexa and logistics to healthcare and advertising. When Andy Jassy officially assumed the role of Amazon CEO in July 2021, he didn't start with grand declarations. Instead, he focused on retooling the company's vast engine, piece by piece. His approach mirrored the principles he followed at AWS: quiet execution, data-driven decision-making, and long-term bets. But while Jassy was known for his calculated style, his early moves as CEO revealed a clear and ambitious vision to make AI the core DNA of Amazon's future. The first visible shift was internal. Jassy initiated a top-down audit of Amazon's AI capabilities across all divisions. What he found was a patchwork: pockets of innovation in Alexa, scattered machine learning teams in logistics, AI-driven ad targeting units, and deep learning research buried within AWS. These efforts, while promising, lacked cohesion. So Jassy's first order of business was to centralize Amazon's AI strategy. He created the Amazon AI Council, a cross-divisional task force of senior engineers, product leads, and research scientists. Their mission was to break down silos and develop a unified roadmap for integrating AI into every customer-facing and back-end system. This council reported directly to Jassy and became a nerve center for innovation. Meanwhile, Jassy prioritized investment in talent. He greenlit the hiring of hundreds of AI researchers, many from top academic institutions and rival tech firms. These hires weren't just for AWS, they were placed in Prime, retail, Alexa, health, and logistics. Jassy wanted every vertical to be infused with intelligence. He believed AI wasn't a product, it was a platform. One of his most scrutinized early decisions was the reorganization of Alexa. Once a darling of Amazon's innovation portfolio, Alexa had lost momentum. Critics argued it lacked direction and hadn't evolved meaningfully since its launch. Jassy saw an opportunity. He shifted Alexa's focus from being a voice assistant to becoming a true AI companion, capable of learning from context, anticipating needs, and integrating deeply with Amazon's services. Simultaneously, Jassy began aligning Amazon's business goals with AI's transformative power. In logistics, this meant expanding the use of computer vision and predictive analytics to optimize warehouse operations. In e-commerce, AI began playing a larger role in dynamic pricing, fraud detection, and personalized shopping experiences. Even Amazon's advertising arm was retooled to use real-time data and generative AI for ad creation. Beyond operations, Jassy looked outward. He understood that Amazon's future depended on ecosystem growth. Under his direction, AWS launched new AI tools for developers and small businesses, democratizing access to machine learning with user-friendly APIs and pre-trained models. Jassy didn't just want Amazon to lead in AI adoption. He wanted it to enable the world to build intelligent applications on Amazon's infrastructure. Of course, none of these transformations occurred without friction. Some insiders resisted the AI centralization, fearing loss of autonomy. Others worried that Jassy's focus on AI might alienate parts of Amazon's traditional retail base. But Jassy navigated these concerns by leaning on Amazon's leadership principles: customer obsession, ownership, and invention. By the end of his first year, the signs of change were clear. Amazon was no longer just adapting to the AI era, it was actively defining it. The company's culture, under Jassy, was shifting from one of scale to one of intelligence. And this shift was just beginning. In the next chapter, we'll explore how Jassy turned his attention to one of Amazon's most ambitious frontiers, healthcare, and how AI is at the center of Amazon's quest to revolutionize it. Of all the sectors ripe for disruption, few are as complex and as crucial as healthcare. For years, Amazon had flirted with the industry. It experimented with internal employee clinics, acquired online pharmacy PillPack in 2018, and partnered with JPMorgan Chase and Berkshire Hathaway to launch Haven, a short-lived healthcare venture. But under Andy Jassy, Amazon's approach became more deliberate, more data-driven, and above all, more AI-centric. Jassy understood that the inefficiencies of healthcare weren't just logistical, they were informational. Mountains of data sat locked in incompatible systems, from hospital EMRs to insurance claims databases. The potential to apply AI to this data was immense: predictive diagnostics, personalized treatment plans, fraud detection, operational streamlining. For a company already skilled in logistics, cloud computing, and customer experience, the opportunity was irresistible. Amazon's acquisition of One Medical in 2022 signaled a deeper move into healthcare delivery. With this deal, Amazon gained access to a network of primary care clinics and a rich trove of patient data, within HIPAA compliance, of course. But the real value lay in integration. Jassy envisioned a seamless experience, where scheduling an appointment, speaking with a doctor, refilling a prescription, and accessing follow-up care could all be done through an AI-enhanced Amazon Health platform. Behind the scenes, AWS began ramping up its health-specific offerings. Amazon Comprehend Medical used natural language processing to extract and structure information from unstructured medical text. Transcribed Medical enabled voice-to-text transcription of physician notes. These tools began surfacing in hospitals, clinics, and startups looking to modernize their workflows. Jassy was positioning Amazon not just as a healthcare provider, but as the infrastructure powering the future of medicine. One of the most transformative initiatives was Amazon's push into predictive healthcare. Using de-identified patient data, AI models were trained to anticipate hospital readmissions, identify patients at risk for chronic conditions, and even forecast drug shortages. This predictive layer, Jassy believed, could prevent health crises before they occurred. Still, Amazon's deeper plunge into healthcare raised ethical concerns. Critics questioned whether a tech giant should have access to sensitive health information. Privacy advocates sounded alarms, while regulators watched closely. Jassy, ever the measured operator, emphasized transparency and security at every turn. He pushed for open dialogue with healthcare institutions and regulators, and invested heavily in encryption, compliance, and ethical AI frameworks. Internally, Jassy assembled a health advisory board that included physicians, ethicists, and technologists. Their role: to ensure Amazon's AI innovations respected patient rights while advancing medical science. He also expanded collaborations with medical universities and research institutes to ground Amazon's work in scientific rigor. By mid-2024, Amazon had quietly become one of the most influential players in digital health. From streamlining pharmacy logistics to assisting doctors with diagnosis, its AI fingerprint was everywhere. But Jassy wasn't chasing headlines, he was building durable systems. He believed that if Amazon could succeed in healthcare, it could earn the public's trust in AI more broadly. In the next chapter, we'll explore how Jassy is navigating the regulatory minefield that surrounds big tech, and how Amazon's AI strategy is evolving in the age of global scrutiny. As Amazon's AI ambitions accelerated, so did scrutiny from lawmakers, watchdogs, and advocacy groups. In an era defined by questions of data privacy, algorithmic bias, and market dominance, big tech found itself in a regulatory spotlight. And under Andy Jassy, Amazon was not immune. In fact, its growing influence across sectors, from retail to healthcare, logistics to entertainment, made it a prime target. Jassy, no stranger to navigating complexity, approached this challenge with characteristic pragmatism. Rather than resist regulation, he sought to get ahead of it. His first move was internal. He expanded Amazon's public policy and legal affairs teams globally. These weren't just lobbyists. They were interdisciplinary experts in AI ethics, cybersecurity, and antitrust law. Jassy wanted Amazon to be informed, not just reactive. He also made himself more accessible. Unlike Bezos, who rarely engaged directly with regulators, Jassy participated in closed-door summits and public hearings. He met with the FTC, EU commissioners, and members of Congress, often emphasizing Amazon's commitment to responsible innovation. His message was clear: regulation was inevitable, but it must be shaped by those who understand the technology. One area of intense focus was data. As Amazon deployed AI in sensitive fields, healthcare, finance, consumer behavior, it came under fire for how it collected, processed, and used data. Jassy responded by introducing stricter internal policies on data governance. New protocols were implemented to anonymize training data, restrict access to sensitive models, and increase auditability. To build public trust, Jassy also pushed for transparency tools. Under his leadership, AWS launched services that allowed customers to explain AI model outputs, essential for sectors like finance and healthcare, where interpretability is crucial. He championed the idea that AI systems should be explainable, traceable, and fair. Beyond compliance, Jassy understood that public perception mattered. In a bold move, Amazon began publishing annual AI ethics reports, detailing how its technologies were used, what safeguards were in place, and where improvements were needed. These reports, once unheard of in the corporate world, became a benchmark for industry accountability. Internationally, Jassy's challenge multiplied. From the EU's Digital Markets Act to China's algorithm regulations, Amazon had to navigate a maze of conflicting standards. Jassy responded by localizing compliance strategies, hiring in-region experts, and adapting services to regional requirements. He knew a one-size-fits-all model wouldn't work in a fragmented regulatory landscape. Critics still emerged. Some argued Amazon wasn't moving fast enough to curb harmful AI applications. Others questioned whether self-regulation was sufficient. Jassy, while acknowledging the concerns, remained focused on long-term credibility. He believed that building trustworthy AI systems would pay off not just in regulatory goodwill, but in customer loyalty and competitive advantage. By late 2024, Amazon had not only weathered multiple regulatory storms, it had helped shape the emerging global norms around AI governance. Under Jassy, the company was no longer a passive target. It was an active participant in defining the rules of the new digital economy. In the next chapter, we'll examine how Jassy is using Amazon's AI strength to transform its core commerce operations, from personalized storefronts to automated fulfillment centers. For years, Amazon's retail empire thrived on scale, millions of products, thousands of vendors, and logistics that rivaled national postal systems. But under Andy Jassy, scale alone was no longer enough. To stay competitive in a world of rising AI-native competitors and rapidly shifting consumer behavior, Jassy knew Amazon needed to become smarter, not just bigger. AI, once buried deep in the back end, was now at the forefront of the customer experience. One of Jassy's major initiatives was transforming the Amazon storefront into a deeply personalized interface powered by real-time data and machine learning. Every product recommendation, search result, and homepage banner was re-engineered to reflect user behavior, intent, and even mood. Rather than static categories or one-size-fits-all promotions, shoppers began seeing dynamically generated stores, curated in real time based on their browsing history, purchase patterns, and inferred needs. This wasn't just upselling, it was anticipatory retail. Jassy called it AI-first commerce. Meanwhile, fulfillment centers, the beating heart of Amazon's physical operation, were undergoing their own transformation. Jassy doubled down on computer vision, robotics, and predictive analytics to enhance speed and accuracy. AI models forecasted demand spikes before they occurred, helping pre-position inventory closer to customers. Robotic arms, guided by vision algorithms, picked and packed items with precision that outpaced even the most experienced human workers. But Jassy was careful to frame these changes not as a replacement of the human workforce, but as augmentation. Workers in fulfillment centers received AI-driven recommendations to reduce strain, optimize routes, and avoid errors. Warehouse managers used predictive dashboards to spot bottlenecks before they emerged. The result: lower returns, faster shipping, and improved working conditions. Another frontier was voice commerce. Alexa, once a novelty, was being reimagined as an intelligent shopping companion. With generative AI integration, Alexa could understand nuanced commands. Find me a gift under $50 for a 10-year-old who loves space, and offer curated suggestions. This move aimed to turn casual interactions into high-conversion shopping experiences. Jassy also launched experiments with augmented reality. Customers could now use their phones to visualize furniture in their homes, try on clothes virtually, or scan products in physical stores for reviews and alternatives. Each AR touchpoint was backed by AI to enhance accuracy and personalization. In logistics, drone delivery, once a sci-fi promise, was finally becoming a scaled reality. AI-controlled routing systems managed airborne fleets, avoiding weather hazards and optimizing delivery windows. While still in limited markets, Jassy envisioned these drones becoming a staple of last-mile delivery. Through all this, the guiding principle remained clear. Amazon wasn't just using AI as a tool, it was making AI the foundation of its customer promise. The shift was less about individual innovations and more about systemic intelligence, turning data into decisions, friction into fluidity. Under Jassy's leadership, Amazon's commerce machine evolved from a marketplace to an adaptive ecosystem. It learned, evolved, and increasingly felt less like a website, and more like a personalized, always-on retail assistant. In the next chapter, we'll explore how Jassy is pushing Amazon even further into the creative realms of media, entertainment, and generative content, where AI is transforming how stories are told and consumed. If retail was Amazon's engine, then media was fast becoming its voice, and Andy Jassy saw in that voice a vast field of AI opportunity. From Prime Video to Twitch, Amazon Music to Audible, the company already had deep roots in entertainment. But under Jassy's leadership, these platforms were no longer just content distributors. They were becoming intelligent, interactive ecosystems. Jassy's media AI strategy had three pillars: personalization, production, and participation. First came personalization. Just as Amazon had tailored shopping, Jassy pushed for deeper user modeling in entertainment. Prime Video's recommendation engine was overhauled with advanced neural networks that didn't just look at what users watched, but when, how often, and alongside what types of content. Viewer sentiment, measured through subtle behavioral cues, like pauses, rewinds, and fast-forwards, became part of the data soup that fed next-generation AI algorithms. The result? Each Prime Video user got a uniquely optimized interface, not just in terms of what to watch, but how it was presented, when trailers were shown, and even which thumbnails were used. Jassy believed frictionless discovery was key to engagement. But Jassy wasn't content with merely recommending content. He wanted Amazon to help create it. With generative AI maturing rapidly, Jassy greenlit ambitious projects to support script writing, scene generation, dubbing, and localization. AWS tools powered real-time voice cloning and automatic subtitle translation across dozens of languages. A single original series could now be launched globally without delay, in a hyper-localized format. Amazon Studios began experimenting with AI-assisted storyboarding, predictive audience analysis, and casting suggestions. AI models could simulate audience reactions based on genre, pacing, and casting choices, tools that reduced creative risk and accelerated production pipelines. While Jassy made clear that human creativity would always be at the core, he believed AI could be a creative partner, not a replacement. Perhaps the boldest initiative was Amazon's move into interactive storytelling. Inspired by gaming culture and fueled by Twitch's community-first DNA, Jassy oversaw the development of AI-driven narrative engines. These tools allowed for branching storylines in TV shows, real-time audience voting, and personalized episode paths. Viewers didn't just watch, they participated. Audible and Amazon Music, too, were transformed. Audiobooks gained AI-narrated alternatives, customizable by tone or pace. Music recommendations evolved beyond genre into emotion-based suggestions. And Alexa became more conversational, guiding users through vast catalogs like a personal DJ or librarian. Behind the scenes, AWS became the invisible scaffolding of the new media age. Jassy ensured that every AI tool Amazon built for its own media teams was packaged into cloud offerings for studios, streamers, and creators worldwide. Amazon wasn't just playing the content game, it was selling the tools to build it. As the lines between entertainment and experience blurred, Jassy remained focused on a singular goal: delight. Whether through personalized movie nights or AI-enhanced audio adventures, he wanted Amazon's media platforms to surprise and resonate. Not just with what they delivered, but with how intelligently they delivered it. In Part 9, we'll explore how Jassy is preparing Amazon's workforce and culture for an AI-first future, and what it takes to transform one of the world's largest companies from the inside out. No matter how advanced the technology, no transformation is complete without the people behind it. Andy Jassy understood that the heart of Amazon's AI revolution wasn't its algorithms, it was its workforce. To lead one of the world's largest employers into an AI-first future, Jassy had to reimagine not just operations and services, but culture, mindset, and leadership. His first move was education. Recognizing that AI literacy was as fundamental as digital literacy had once been, Jassy launched a massive internal upskilling initiative. Tens of thousands of employees, from software engineers to logistics managers, were enrolled in training programs focused on AI fundamentals, machine learning operations, MLOps, data ethics, and prompt engineering. Warehouse associates were offered access to AI-powered tools designed to assist in daily tasks, but also to encourage learning. AR glasses with contextual overlays, robotic assistants that responded to voice commands, and predictive scheduling apps began to change not only how work was done, but how workers thought about their role within the system. For corporate teams, Jassy emphasized what he called thinking in models. Teams were encouraged to design experiments with machine learning baked in from the start. Whether building marketing campaigns, optimizing supply chains, or designing product experiences, the goal was to develop a fluency in how AI could be a co-pilot, not a back-end afterthought. At the executive level, a new cadre of AI-literate leaders emerged. Jassy reorganized parts of Amazon's leadership to include roles like Chief AI Officer and Head of AI Ethics. These weren't figureheads, but hands-on operators who worked cross-functionally to embed AI principles across divisions, from Alexa and AWS to Prime and logistics. Jassy also redefined Amazon's hiring practices. While traditional tech backgrounds remained important, there was a new emphasis on interdisciplinary talent, ethicists, cognitive scientists, linguists, and artists, who could help bridge the human-AI divide. Innovation, Jassy believed, would come from diversity not just in demographics, but in thinking. A crucial aspect of this cultural transformation was transparency. Jassy instituted regular company-wide updates on Amazon's AI direction, including open Q&A sessions and explainers about how decisions were being made. From model bias to data privacy, employees were invited into the ethical dialogue. This openness extended to experimentation. Jassy championed a sandbox culture, where teams were incentivized to test new AI applications, even if they failed. Rapid iteration, data-driven evaluation, and cross-pollination of ideas became the norm. It wasn't enough to adopt AI, it had to be internalized into Amazon's innovation DNA. Yet with all the change, Jassy was careful to preserve Amazon's core day one philosophy: customer obsession, long-term thinking, and operational excellence. AI wasn't replacing these tenets. It was enhancing them. He knew that culture change is often the hardest frontier. But for Jassy, the equation was simple. If AI was the future of business, then building an AI-ready workforce wasn't optional, it was existential. In the final part, we'll reflect on Andy Jassy's journey so far and examine what his leadership means not just for Amazon, but for the future of global business in the age of artificial intelligence. As Andy Jassy's tenure continues to unfold, one thing is clear: his leadership marks a pivotal inflection point in Amazon's evolution. Taking the reins from Jeff Bezos was never going to be about replication, it was about transformation. And Jassy, with his deep operational experience and measured vision, has embraced that responsibility with a uniquely steady hand. Under his guidance, Amazon is no longer just the everything store or the cloud juggernaut, it is becoming an intelligent ecosystem. Every click, shipment, stream, and interaction is now a data point in a broader AI-powered architecture designed to predict, personalize, and perform at planetary scale. Jassy's belief that AI isn't a product but a platform is what sets Amazon apart in this next phase of competition. He has taken bold steps in key industries: healthcare, media, logistics, and reframed Amazon's core mission from transactional excellence to experiential intelligence. With AI, Amazon doesn't just react to demand, it anticipates it. It doesn't just serve customers, it understands them. But Jassy's greatest contribution may lie not in technology, but in trust. By cultivating an internal culture that is both ambitious and ethically grounded, he's ensured that Amazon's AI push is not a race to dominance at all costs, but a deliberate movement towards sustainable innovation. Transparency, responsibility, and inclusion have become pillars of his leadership philosophy. Challenges remain, of course. Regulatory scrutiny, competitive threats from Microsoft, Google, and emerging AI-native startups, and the sheer complexity of transforming a global workforce will test Jassy's strategy. But if the past few years are any indication, he's not just navigating change, he's defining it. In many ways, Andy Jassy represents a new model of tech leadership. Less charismatic than his predecessor, but no less visionary. Less about disruption for its own sake, and more about integration, scale, and continuity. In an era of rapid acceleration, he offers something rare: composure. As Amazon marches deeper into the AI frontier, Jassy's tenure may well be remembered as the moment the company didn't just grow smarter, but wiser. In doing so, he's not only shaping the future of Amazon. He's setting a blueprint for what the intelligent enterprise of the 21st century can, and should, be.